Does your furry friend take over your bed every night? It's time to reclaim your space while giving them the comfort they deserve with the coldest, cozy dog bed. Don't wait. Check out the link in the video description to buy now on Amazon.
It may seem like just another indie US Newsydvania, but few games have the quality of graphics and level of polish as this stunning new action adventure. As entertaining as so many of them are, it is becoming increasingly difficult to get excited about the announcement of a new US Newsydvania, even if Gestalt, Steam Cinder made an immediately positive impression when it was featured in the recent III showcase. Its pixelated graphics are a homage to the 16-bit era of the SNES and Mega Drive, while at the same time being enhanced by modern technology, and it turns out its gameplay is a similarly successful mix of old and new. On the US Newsydvania sliding scale, Gestalt leans much closer to Castlevania than US New Cid, with its gothic visuals and role-playing stats. It casts you as Alethea, a mysterious fighter who lives in the steampunk world of Canaan where, generations previously, a mystical rift opened up, breeding a generation of technologically enhanced superfighters who plunged the land into civil war. A fragile peace now exists, but Alethea embarks on a quest to uncover Canaan's dark secret, while shooting and stabbing as many robots and monsters as possible. Although its influences are obvious, the world of Gestalt, Steam Cinder has more narrative depth than you might expect from a US Newsydvania, with lots of plot twists and character betrayals. In classic US Newsydvania fashion, Alethea acquires useful abilities as the game progresses, and she levels up. Gestalt has a huge abilities tree, bringing the expected upgrades to health, gun, and melee damage, along with a variety of increasingly powerful blade attacks and the ability for her energy-powered gun to fire more shots than the single one it starts with. In addition, she earns crucial new abilities through overcoming bosses, including a double jump, air dash, and a heavy attack. As you'd expect, the new abilities open up previously inaccessible parts of the map, while Alethea is able to pick up documents that populate the map with treasure locations, which in turn bring the likes of the gunsmith and the armorer into play, back in her hometown of Irkalla. At first, even basic, mostly robotic, enemies prove challenging, thanks to Alethea's limited health, but she soon develops into a powerful fighter, with a larger amount of health-restoring drafts. This is just as well, since her enemies become even more difficult after that. Every time you leave and re-enter a room on the map, its enemies respawn, which feels somewhat unfair at first but becomes useful later on, since you can use them as a means of grinding to level up more quickly. Occasionally you will have to grind, since the bosses, again, in classic US Newsydvania fashion, are pretty hard. They are also impressively diverse, but they all have one thing in common: you need patience to defeat them. Much like Elden Ring et al., working out when to go on the offensive and when to evade their instant kill attacks is vital, as you learn their patterns and vulnerabilities. The further you get into Gestalt, the more inventive its levels become. You eventually encounter some sequences which are very reminiscent of the US New Cid games, in that as well as taking on enemies, you must solve satisfyingly complex mechanical puzzles. There's also a speed level in which you have to execute a near-flawless sequence of platforming while under attack from a rogue's gallery of enemies and a rapidly rising lava flow. Concord Beta Review: not as bad as it looks. New Fallout game released today by fans as London mod edges closer to release. BioShock 4 screenshot leaks, and it sure looks like BioShock. Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess Review: the Onimusha strategy. For an indie game, US Newsydvania or not, Gestalt, Steam Cinder feels extremely polished and finely feddled. It contains 15 to 20 hours of gameplay, adorned with great music, suitably baroque, atmospheric, and memorable, and fantastic pixel art graphics. There's some fantastic animation and enjoyably imaginative designs, in what is an exemplar of how far you can push hand-drawn 16-bit style graphics using modern technology. In gameplay terms, Gestalt, Steam Cinder may not do anything particularly original, but when it comes to presentation and slickness, this is up there with the very finest US Newsydvanias, indie or otherwise. It still doesn't point towards any future evolution of the genre, whose D.